Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Abhishek Mahajan, coming up in the next 30 minutes. Prime Minister Modi participates in Leaders Plenary at AI Impact Summit in New Delhi, says inclusive technology for everyone, India's goal. Prime Minister Modi holds bilateral meetings with Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi, Dutch counterpart Dick Schoof, and President of Swiss Confederation. Also interacts with Greece's Prime Minister on the sidelines of AI Impact Summit. Poland PM tells its citizens to leave Iran immediately as tensions rise with the US. Prime Minister Narendra Modi held bilateral discussions with Sheikh Khalid bin Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi, in New Delhi on the sidelines of AI Impact Summit. Recalling the historical ties that underpin India-UAE ties, both leaders discussed bilateral cooperation and expressed satisfaction at the progress achieved in various fields. They also discussed ways to enhance cooperation in AI. Prime Minister Modi held a bilateral meeting with Prime Minister of Netherlands, Dick Schoof, on the sidelines of AI Impact Summit. Both leaders exchanged views for harnessing AI as an enabler for economic and social transformation. The leaders noted the conclusion of India-EU FTA negotiations and reiterated their commitment to work for its early implementation. They agreed to further strengthen India-Netherlands cooperation in technology and innovation and leverage new opportunities in our economic partnership. Both leaders committed to strengthen global fight against terrorism. Prime Minister held bilateral talks with Switzerland's President Guy Parmelin on the sidelines of the AI Impact Summit at Bharat Mandapam in the national capital. PM Modi also held a bilateral discussion with Greece's Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis on the sidelines of the AI Impact Summit. Earlier in the day, Prime Minister Modi addressed the global leaders at the India AI Impact Summit 2026 at Bharat Mandapam. The inaugural session featured addresses by French President Emmanuel Macron and United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres, along with several leading figures from the global industry and technology sectors. In his speech, PM Modi thanked all the tech leaders who participated in India AI Impact Summit and made it a success. He welcomed all the leaders on behalf of 140 crore Indians. Prime Minister remarked that in human history, every few centuries, a turning point emerges that resets the direction of civilization.
जब पत्थरों से पहली बार स्पार्क निकला, किसी ने नहीं सोचा था कि वही चिंगारी सिविलाइजेशनल की फाउंडेशन बनेगी। जब बोली को पहली बार लिपि में बदला गया, किसी ने नहीं जाना था कि रिटन नॉलेज फ्यूचर सिस्टम की बैकबोन बनेगी। जब पहली बार सिग्नल्स को वायरलेस ट्रांसमिट किया गया, किसी ने कल्पना नहीं की थी कि एक दिन पूरी दुनिया रियल टाइम में कनेक्ट होगी। साथियों, आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस मानव इतिहास का ऐसा ही ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन है। आज जो हम देख रहे हैं, जो प्रिडिक्ट कर रहे हैं, वो इसके इंपैक्ट का सिर्फ प्रारंभिक संकेत है। एआई मशीनों को इंटेलिजेंट बना रही है, लेकिन उससे भी अधिक मानव सामर्थ्य को कई गुना बढ़ा रही है।
On post-opening session, Prime Minister Modi, along with other leaders, visited India AI Impact Expo 2026, where they witnessed India's tech talent and innovation progress. Leaders also visited various country pavilions. Post-exhibition, leaders gathered for a photo op at Bharat Mandapam. The theme of India AI Impact Summit 2026, Welfare for All, Happiness of All. It aims to position India as a leader in the field of AI and envisions a future where AI advances humanity, fosters inclusive growth and safeguards our shared planet. Prime Minister Modi participated in the Leaders Plenary at India AI Impact Summit. It brings together heads of state, ministers and senior representatives from multilateral institutions to outline national and global priorities on AI, including governance, infrastructure and international cooperation. PM Modi said that this AI summit should be based on human-centric, sensible to make a global roadmap.
अतीत में टेक्नोलॉजी ने डिवीजन क्रिएट किए, लेकिन वर्तमान में एआई टेक्नोलॉजी सबके लिए सुलभ हो, सबकी पहुंच में हो, ये हमारा लक्ष्य होना चाहिए। इसलिए आज जब हम एआई के फ्यूचर पर चर्चा कर रहे हैं, तो हमें ग्लोबल साउथ की आकांक्षाओं और प्राथमिकताओं को भी एआई गवर्नेंस के केंद्र में रखना होगा।
PM Modi also gave 3 suggestions to make AI more accountable and sensible.
एक्सेलेंसी, एआई के एथिकल उपयोग के लिए मेरे 3 सुझाव हैं। फर्स्ट, डेटा सॉवरेनिटी को रिस्पेक्ट करते हुए एआई ट्रेनिंग के लिए एक डेटा फ्रेमवर्क बने। जैसे एआई में कहा जाता है, गार्बेज इन, गार्बेज आउट। अगर डेटा सुरक्षित, संतुलित, विश्वसनीय नहीं होगा, तो आउटपुट भी भरोसेमंद नहीं होगा। सेकंड, एआई प्लेटफॉर्म अपने सेफ्टी रूल्स बहुत क्लियर और ट्रांसपेरेंट रखे। हमें ब्लैक बॉक्स के बदले ग्लास बॉक्स अप्रोच चाहिए, जहां सेफ्टी रूल्स देखे और वेरीफाई किए जा सके। थर्ड, एआई रिसर्च में पेपर क्लिप प्रॉब्लम का उदाहरण दिया जाता है। अगर किसी मशीन को सिर्फ पेपर क्लिप बनाने का लक्ष्य दे दिया जाए, तो वह उसका एक काम के लिए दुनिया के सारे रिसोर्सेज को दांव पर लगाकर भी वही काम करती रहेगी। इसलिए एआई को क्लियर ह्यूमन वैल्यूज और गाइडेंस की जरूरत है।
Major investment announcements were made at the AI Impact Summit underway at Bharat Mandapam in New Delhi. Reliance Industries and its telecom arm Jio will invest $109.8 billion over the next 7 years to build artificial intelligence and data infrastructure. Chairman Mukesh Ambani made the announcement on Thursday. The Adani Group says it will commit $100 billion for renewable energy-powered AI data centers by 2035. The company added that the investment could help create a $250 billion AI infrastructure ecosystem in India over the next decade. Microsoft says it is on track to invest $50 billion by 2030 to expand AI across countries in the global south. Indian data center firm Yotta Data Services will invest more than $2 billion to build a major AI computing hub powered by NVIDIA's latest chips. Significantly, at the summit, India's Electronics and IT Minister Ashwini Vaishnav announced what he described as a key outcome of the India AI Impact Summit, the launch of the New Delhi Frontier AI Commitments. Calling the initiative a significant milestone, Vaishnav said top frontier AI firms and domestic AI players had come together to endorse a shared set of voluntary principles aimed at promoting inclusive and collaborative AI development.
Today, leading frontier AI companies, along with India's own innovators such as Sarvam, BharatGen, Gyani and Socket, have come together to make a set of voluntary commitments that reflect a shared vision for inclusive and responsible AI. First, advancing understanding of real-world AI usage through anonymized and aggregated insights to support evidence-based policy making on jobs, skills, and economic transformation. The second is strengthening multilingual and contextual evaluations of AI systems to ensure that AI works effectively across languages, cultures, and real-world use cases, especially in the global south. Together, these efforts mark an important step towards shaping AI that is not only powerful, but also inclusive, development-oriented, and globally relevant. This initiative positions India at the forefront of building a global South-led perspective on AI governance, one that balances innovation with equity and real-world impact.
A qualification level load test of the rogue parachute for India's Gaganyaan human space flight mission was successfully conducted at the rail track rockets-led facility of the Terminal Ballistic Range Laboratory in Chandigarh under Defence Research and Development Organisation. The test was carried out jointly by teams from Vikram Sarabhai Space Centre of the Indian Space Research Organisation along with Aerial Delivery Research and Development Establishment and DRDO. Officials said the successful trial validates the parachute's performance under high load conditions, a critical requirement for the safe recovery of the Gaganyaan crew module. Moving on, India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh on Thursday inaugurated Exercise Milan 2026 at Visakhapatnam, coinciding with the International Fleet Review and the IN's Conclave of Chiefs, making it one of the largest maritime gatherings in the Indo-Pacific. Exercise Milan 2026 moves from diplomacy to high-intensity operations under India's Mahasagar initiative and role as a preferred security partner. Defence Minister highlighted India's commitment to a rules-based maritime order and global peace with over 70 countries participating. Still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Ousted South Korean President Yoon Suk Yeol sentenced to life for imposing martial law. Muslim community across the world began observing the holy month of Ramzan following the sighting of crescent moon, marking a period of fasting, prayer and charity.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Some more stories. Iran's atomic energy chief Mohammad Islami said no country can deprive the Islamic Republic of its right to nuclear enrichment after US President Donald Trump again hinted at military action following talks in Geneva. The comments follow the second round of Oman-mediated talks between Tehran and Washington in Geneva on Tuesday. Russia said on Thursday that it was seeing an unprecedented escalation of tension around Iran as the United States moved military assets into the Middle East. Kremlin urged both Tehran and other parties to exercise prudence and restraint. Russia has a strategic partnership treaty with Iran, although it does not include a mutual defense clause. Meanwhile, Iran and Russia hold joint naval exercises in the Sea of Oman and northern Indian Ocean.
These are planned exercises. They are coordinated in advance. Russia continues to develop relations with Iran, and in doing so, we call on our Iranian friends and all parties in the region to exercise restraint and prudence, and we call on them to adopt political and diplomatic means as an absolute priority in resolving any issues.
Now, Poland's Prime Minister Donald Tusk called on Thursday for all Polish citizens to leave Iran after US President Donald Trump again hinted at military action against Tehran. This is the second time in recent months that the Polish government has called for its citizens to leave the country. Trump has ordered a major military build-up in the region as he contemplates use of force with a second aircraft carrier group en route.
Please leave immediately. Everyone still in Iran, and under no circumstances should you travel to that country. I don't want to scare anyone with any possible developments, but we all know what I'm talking about.
U.S. President Donald Trump's Board of Peace is set to meet for the first time on Thursday in Washington, where he will announce that member states have pledged more than $5 billion for reconstruction and humanitarian efforts in Gaza. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt told reporters on Wednesday that more than 20 countries would participate in the meeting, adding that member states had committed to providing thousands of personnel for an international stabilization force for Gaza.
President Trump will host a Board of Peace meeting at the Donald J. Trump Institute of Peace, where he will announce that member states have pledged more than $5 billion towards the Gaza humanitarian and reconstruction efforts, and have also committed thousands of personnel to the International Stabilization Force and local police to maintain security and peace for Gazans.
Trump signed documents in Davos, Switzerland on January 23rd, establishing the Board of Peace. The board's creation was endorsed by United Nations Security Council resolution as part of Trump's Gaza plan. The list includes Israel and other regional heavyweights involved in ceasefire negotiations, as well as countries from outside the West Asia whose leaders support Trump or hope to gain his favor. US allies like France, Norway and Sweden have so far declined. A South Korean court handed a guilty verdict and a life sentence on Thursday to former President Yoon Suk-yeol on charges of abuse of authority and masterminding an insurrection stemming from his martial law bid in December 2024. Yoon abruptly declared martial law in a televised address in December 2024, saying drastic measures were needed to root out anti-state forces. The verdict was closely watched in a deeply divided country. Supporters of former President Yoon gathered near the Seoul Central District Court. Yoon's insurrection case is the most consequential yet for the ousted leader, whose attempt to impose emergency rule triggered a national political crisis and tested the resilience of South Korea's democratic institutions. Along with President Yoon, court also sentenced ex-defense minister Kim to 30 years in prison in martial law case. Masterminding an insurrection carries a maximum sentence of the death penalty or life imprisonment under South Korean law. Now, Peru's new acting president, Jose Balcazar, on Wednesday made tackling public insecurity his top priority after being sworn in, promising swift steps, including changes at the Interior Ministry. Peru is facing a sharp rise in violent crime, with public safety ranking as citizens' biggest concern in recent years, even ahead of the economy. Lawmakers elected Balcazar as interim president before April's general elections, making him the country's 8th leader in as many years as ongoing political instability and strained ties between Congress and the executive continue to weigh on governance. Let's now take a look at the stories making news around the world. Over 100 flights delayed as Moscow grappled with what is expected to be this winter's heaviest snowfall on Thursday. This winter in Moscow, full of heavy snowfalls and frost up to minus 25 degrees Celsius below zero, is a stark contrast to the previous winter, which was one of the warmest on record. In January 2026, Moscow saw the heaviest snowfalls in 203 years. Spanish authorities said renowned modernist architect Antoni Gaudí was the author of a building in a remote forest area in Catalonia, ending speculation on who was behind the project built in the early 20th century. It was determined that Gaudí designed the house built between 1901 to 08 in the town of La Pobla de Lille. There are about 10 other works which have not been confirmed to be authored by Gaudí. In Pakistan, at least 16 people, including children, were killed following a building collapse in Karachi, Pakistan, in the early hours of Thursday. The three-story building in the Soldier Bazaar neighborhood collapsed around 4 a.m. local time, just as families were preparing the pre-dawn meal for Ramzan. More than a dozen others were injured. Officials said the collapse followed an explosion. An investigation is on to ascertain the actual cause. All right, sports updates now. We'll start with tennis. Carlos Alcaraz maintained his perfect percent start to the year by battling past Frenchman Valentin Royer in Doha, while his great rival Yannick Sinner also secured a quarter-final place. The world number one notched his ninth straight win with a 6-2, 7-5 success despite trailing 5-2 in the second set. The 22-year-old will play Russian Karen Khachanov for a semi-final berth on Thursday. Alcaraz has won all 5 of his previous meetings with Khachanov, losing only one set in the process. Italian Sinner playing his first tournament since losing to Novak Djokovic in Australian Open semi-finals last month. He is to a 6-3, 7-5 win over Australian Alexei Poprin. Poprin battled gamely but failed to create a breakpoint opportunity against his clinical opponent. Sinner will play Jakub Mensik in the quarters. The world number 2 has now won his last 50 matches against players ranked outside top 50. Tennis to football now. Arsenal's Premier League title challenge suffered a major blow as they squandered a 2-goal lead and conceded a stoppage time equaliser in a damaging 2-2 draw against Wolves. Arsenal were on course to move 7 points clear at the top of the standings after Bukayo Saka's early opener and Piero Hincapié's second-half strike put them in control. But Arsenal collapsed in the closing stages as Hugo Bueno reduced the deficit before Riccardo Calafiori turned Tom Edozzi's shot into his own net in the final seconds. For a second successive league game, the Gunners had failed to hold on to a lead following their 1-1 draw at Brentford last Thursday. Arsenal slip-up offers renewed hope to second-place Manchester City in their title race. Arianna Fontana became her country's most decorated Olympian when she led Italy to silver behind South Korea in the women's 3,000-meter short track relay at the Winter Games. It was the 14th Olympic medal of Fontana's career, eclipsing the record of fencer Eduardo Mangiarotti, who won 13 medals between 1936 and 1960. Canada took the bronze. It was the first short track gold of the Games for South Korea, the most successful nation in the discipline at the Olympics. The 35-year-old Italian skater has now won 3 medals at the Milano Cortina Games. She made her Olympic debut as a teenager when Italy hosted the Turin Games in 2006, picking up the first medal of her career in women's relay. FIFA President Gianni Infantino said all 104 matches of 2026 World Cup will be sold out as the tournament kicks off on 11 June. Infantino said that there had been 508 million ticket requests in 4 weeks for some 7 million available tickets. He said requests during the main sales phase in January came from more than 200 countries. All right, we'll come back to it, but we are getting you these visuals of Prime Minister Narendra Modi holding bilateral talks with French President Emmanuel Macron. These are the visuals that we are getting you from New Delhi, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi is holding bilateral talks with French President Emmanuel Macron. These are the visuals of the bilateral talks on the sidelines of the AI Impact Summit. Prime Minister Modi has been holding bilateral discussions with various world leaders who have come here in New Delhi to attend the AI Impact Summit. Emmanuel Macron, who was in Mumbai earlier, arrived in New Delhi yesterday, attended the AI Impact Summit and now holding meeting with Prime Minister Narendra Modi on the sidelines of AI Impact Summit. These are the visuals that we are getting you of Prime Minister Narendra Modi holding bilateral talks with French President Emmanuel Macron. PM Modi also held bilateral meetings with Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi in the morning. Dutch counterpart Dick Schoof also later in the day. and also President of Swiss Confederation. He also interacted with Greece's Prime Minister on the sidelines of the AI Impact Summit. In fact, French President Macron said that the future of AI will be built by those who combine innovation and responsibility, and India and France will help to shape this future together. Macron highlighted how technology has transformed everyday life for ordinary citizens. He praised India's unified payments interface, UPI, saying the country has accomplished what no other nation has, creating a digital identity system that serves all 1.4 billion citizens. In fact, Emmanuel Macron also said that platforms, governments and regulators should be working together to make the internet and social media a safe space for children. Moving on, Muslim community across the world have begun observing the holy month of Ramzan following the sighting of the crescent moon, marking a period of fasting, prayer and charity. Worshippers gathered in mosque for special evening prayers as families came together to break the fast at sunset. All right, that's all we have in this edition of DD India Live, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Abhishek Mahajan from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.